Meet Natalie. Natalie loves books.
This is your brain on books. Any questions? And this is Angela. She's a very serious jazz singer.
Shooby-dooby-dooby-doop-doop-doo. And sure, we both like to stay informed, but this world sometimes, am I right? You know what we need? 30 minutes of meditation.
Pop culture meditation.
So we're here to remind you.
We get it. You're smart. But right now, take a deep breath and put your books down. I'm debating on if I should talk like Michael this whole time, Lonnnnng. But I've got lots of stories I want to talk about from this with
Okay.
MJ and Lonnnnng.
Okay. Oh, he did call him Lionel.
Lionel. That's the only way I'm calling him this whole time.
Okay. All right. Bring, bring. Hello. Oh, hey. Hey, 1985. What's up? Okay, yeah, cool. Hold on. Let me just check my 8-ball.
Yeah, I'm only 2.
Oh, hey, Natalie.
Hi.
Guess what? 1985 called. Guess what we're going to talk about?
What?
The greatest night ever in pop history. Oh,
What
my
is
God.
it?
It was We Are the World.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I was so obsessed with that at 2.
I know, man. I was like totally...
way into We Are the World at 2.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm an old soul. What?
Yeah. Oh, hey. Hi, everybody.
Hi. Oh, hello.
Oh, hey, everybody. Welcome to Put Your Books Down.
Yes.
We didn't see you there.
Thank you for showing up.
Natalie and I were just talking about a new film out on Netflix.
Yes.
Right at the moment.
Oh, my God. It's so
good. It is so good, everybody. It is called The Greatest Night in Pop. And it's all about the recording of the song We Are the World.
And how does it go, Angela? Like this, so people can know.
There comes a time when we heed a certain call, when the world must come together as one. That's the beginning of it. Yeah.
And then
you want me to give you a little chorus?
Just do a little chorus.
We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones who make a brighter day. So let's start giving. And so anyway, everybody knows what this is. Everybody remembers it. It was 1985. It was on the heels of like the Live Aid and the Do They Know It's Christmas Time at All. Back in the 80s, people in the arts industries, they just wanted to do good for the world. You know what I mean? They just wanted to do good. And so this was conceived by none other than the wonderful and classy and amazing statesman of activism, Mr. Harry Belafonte. And he had this idea. He was like, look, all these white people are over here doing this like Band-Aid and this Live Aid shit. And these African Americans, we need to rise up for our people and help them like get some funding in Africa. And so they were like, we're going to do this. And so they did this whole thing. So they called up Lionel Richie, and Lionel Richie was like hitting at this point. He was hitting hard.
He was
like
slapping.
He was about ready. He had just left the Commodores, and he was like, I am going to now, I'm going to be the host of the American Music Awards. And now I'm going to do this We Are the World thing. He had just like, he was starting, it was like all night long. And like, and like literally, and by the way, this thing did go on all night long. Yes,
it sure did.
It really talk about all night long.
Sure did.
So, yeah. So we're going to get into...
It was Lionel and Michael Jackson, but Quincy Jones was the composer, director.
He was Lionel Richie.
Leader of the pack.
Right. So Lionel Richie and Michael Jackson actually wrote the song, and they wanted to have Stevie Wonder also co-write the song, but they couldn't get a hold of him. I don't know what that was about. Like Stevie just never, he was really busy. I don't know. He was like working on like, what was he working on in 85? Probably like, that girl thinks that she's so smart. Probably, I don't know.
Which
or maybe it was,
I
just
busy.
Called to say, I don't know what he was working on. Anyway, doesn't matter.
I love you.
This episode's going to be really long if I sing every single, but it's going to be, but whatever. It's going to be long. It's just fine. I am obsessed with this show.
Oh, yeah.
As you can see, I'm talking rapidly. I am excited. 1985. This is my era. This is like the most Gen X thing that ever Gen X'd.
Your
Like,
vocal cords are on fire. You're
it was.
booming. You're excited. You're happy.
I'm sweaty. I mean,
No,
so,
you're pumped.
pumped.
You are amped.
So I watched it the other night with Frank, and we just absolutely loved this. So we're gonna just hit on some of the highlights. People, if you have not watched this yet, it is on Netflix. It's
Ugh.
called Greatest Night in Pop, and it is all about the recording of this wonderful song, "We Are the World." Let's just get into it. So first of all, it had to be a secret
Yes.
because they were like, we can't let anybody know that we're
Mhm.
going to have 45 of these like amazing pop stars gather at A&M Studios in Hollywood after the
One night
American
only.
Music Awards, one night
Mhm.
only. Lionel Richie is coming off of his like hosting
He's
the
hosting
awards.
the awards.
And he's like, so he and Michael, like weeks before this, get
Yeah, let's
together.
talk about the
We're
pregame.
going to talk about
That's
the pregame.
important to me.
It's very important. So the talking heads in this are amazing. I love how dishy this thing is. Like
It is
Lionel just,
so
I
dishy.
love it.
It
Lionel
is
just
so
dishes on
full of
everything.
tea. It
I
is
love it.
so full of the tea.
It's so good.
Couldn't get
So
enough.
so talk to me about like your impressions of like Michael Jackson and Lionel Richie getting together to write this
Okay.
song.
I have several notes.
Okay, yes, go for it.
Well, my favorite thing off the jump is that Michael calls Lionel Richie Lionel.
Right.
And so I will only refer to Lionel Richie as Lionel for the
From here on.
remainder of this podcast.
Okay. Yes.
It's just what I'm doing.
That's what you're doing.
So when Lionel is talking about the writing the writing
Process.
process,
Yes.
hi. With Michael, he
Yeah.
obviously I didn't really catch it at first, but obviously Lionel goes to Michael Jackson's Neverland,
Home. Yes.
okay, to meet with him, and they had never I don't think they'd ever met before, and then
Yeah.
so he wasn't familiar with maybe the full quirks
Right.
of Michael Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
So they would be spitballing and throwing ideas back and forth, and next thing Lionel knows is he was saying, no, I don't want to hold the chimp, talking about Bubbles, Michael Jackson's monkey.
Right.
So Michael Jackson had all these animals. It was like a zoo,
Yes.
and he was just always like they were always around. He had no idea, and so Lionel would be like, okay, well, do you have like a template of like what is your idea for the song? And Michael Jackson would play a tape, and it was as Lionel said, we now have a template of mumbles and no words. So it'd be like,
Wow, that's exactly what it sounded like.
I know it's uncanny.
It's uncanny.
But I think my favorite story of the writing process at Michael Jackson's Neverland with Lionel was when he was talking about, and I was like getting really into the story, and
Yeah.
he was talking about the breathing thing and like the mumbles and the breathing, and like, and then like I thought what he was about to describe was a spiritual moment. And the moment was like Lionel looks over and he sees these albums like falling off of the shelf. And I'm like, oh my God, it's like Jesus has come and said and given them his blessing
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
this amazing recording they're gonna do. But nope, it's a snake that Michael Jackson had lost in his house, a boa constrictor.
Yes.
And Lionel was like, he was like, nope, it's
Nope.
a fucking snake.
Nope.
And it was not a spiritual situation
No.
at all. Another thing that Michael Jackson was like, oh, I thought I lost him. Hey, snake.
He likes
And then
the
you see
music.
and then it cut to a video of him kissing this boa constrictor, and you're like,
Yeah.
all right.
Yep.
Quella.
Yeah. Cool.
Not quella.
Cool.
Not so much.
Not too cool.
So that was like,
I know.
my favorite of the like pre-production of this evening
Oh,
were
yes.
Lionel's stories with him and Michael Jackson at his house. And he was like, basically, he's like, this dude's fucking weird.
Yeah.
Okay? Like,
and it's
what? He's a
love.
genius. He's brilliant. But
Oh,
like,
yeah.
what?
Yeah. Like
With the monkey and the lost snake.
I know.
Yikes.
I know. It was so funny. And I was like, Lionel giving this account and the fact that a lot of this he can say because he's dead.
Yeah.
Like, he can say all this stuff, like,
Well,
about
yeah.
Prince. Like, for example, another story from this is that, like, as they're getting everybody to agree to go do this thing, they're sending out letters to them and, like, "Can you please meet us at this place and do this thing with us? And it has to be ultra secret, and we can't tell you what it is." Like, it has, "Don't share this
Mhm.
tape," and blah, blah, blah.
Like NDAs almost.
Yeah, and Prince just, like, refuses to go to do this thing, and,
I didn't know that I
like
completely forgot about the rivalry between Michael Jackson and Prince, by the way.
right,
I had
same.
forgotten.
I had
I actually
completely
I don't know if I
forgotten
even
about it.
knew that.
I
Like, it
don't think
makes sense. I don't
it
think I
makes
knew
total
that they had
sense.
a huge rivalry because
Yeah.
at the, music awards,
Yes.
they were up for, like, a
Yes.
ton of the same things,
Yes.
and
Yes.
Prince, like, fucking cleared it. Like, he won
Oh, he
I think
did?
he beat Michael Jackson. He won, like, 8 or 9 of the awards that
But
night.
didn't Michael win, like,
He
for
won,
all the
like
Thriller stuff?
no, that was Grammys. This is the
Oh,
American Music
right.
Awards.
Right,
Prince
right, right.
cleaned house.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it
But
was
I didn't
crazy.
know they had a rivalry, and I was like, "Oh, well,
Yeah.
no, duh, of course they did."
Yeah, right, totally makes
It
sense, right?
totally makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, and so there was that. And then, my overall impression of this, and we'll get into some of the details later, is I just loved seeing all of these egos. Like,
Mm,
each and every one of these stars is some of them have real healthy egos, and some of them you can tell have egos that are over the top and like, "Whoa,"
and some
right?
of them are just drunk.
And some of them, let's just be frank, are just drunk. And
And some are
so and
troublemakers.
some are troublemakers, and some want to do a line in Swahili, and
Mhm.
so
Yeah. So,
okay,
let's talk about, like
yeah,
Angela, say, like,
yeah.
the main like, the people, like, that
Okay,
were included.
so some of the main characters are, like, Dionne Warwick, Diana Ross, Harry Belafonte, Michael Jackson, all of the Jackson brothers, Tito, Jackie, Jermaine, like,
Latoya was
LaToya.
there.
I don't think Janet was there.
Mm-mm.
I didn't see Janet.
Smokey Robinson,
Smokey Robinson, Huey
Kenny
Lewis,
Rogers,
Kenny
Kenny
Rogers,
Loggins,
Cyndi
Hall&
Lauper,
and Oates.
Hall and Oates, but of course, Oates was in the background.
Oh, well, I have a whole note on that later.
um, Kenny Loggins, Steve Perry,
Cyndi
Cyndi
Lauper.
Lauper,
We said that.
Al
Yes, we did.
Jarreau,
Yep.
which yeah. Who
Bruce
else? Bruce
Springsteen,
Springsteen, Bob
Bob
Dylan,
Dylan, Ray
um,
Charles,
Ray Charles, Stevie Wonder, where you said that.
Tina Turner,
Tina Turner. Oh my gosh, who else? Yeah, I mean, I could name. There's 40. Bette Midler
Bette
was there.
Midler, Bet.
Kenny Rogers. We said that
Yep.
right.
Yep.
There's so many of them. There's 45 of them, but
Paul Simon, we said
Paul
that.
Simon was at the very beginning. Yeah. Not all of them could have a solo,
And
right?
Stevie Wonder was there. No,
Yeah,
they couldn't all have a
they
solo.
couldn't all have a solo. And so Stevie Wonder
Oh,
shows
and
up.
don't mean to interrupt, but
Yeah,
one of my favorite people is the Sheila E.
Sheila E.
Yeah,
Sheila E.
she was
is
with Prince.
Prince's
Like,
drummer.
yeah,
Yeah.
she
Oh,
was a big role for me in this.
yeah. They did her
Go ahead.
dirty
Oh,
big time. So anyway, they all get together on this night. They start at like 10 o'clock after the American Music Awards. They all start shuffling in.
Yeah.
And they've got the whole place mic'd and they're learning. And Quincy Jones, God bless him,
Wow.
is
Wowie.
amazing. He's
Wow.
he's the guy who's going to
The
direct this whole
composer.
thing.
Mhm.
He's not the composer.
He kind of is.
Well, he didn't write the music.
Well, I'm just saying he's like maybe he didn't
He's
write the music, but he's composing what is
he's
directing
producing.
and
He's the producer. He's the producer.
Mhm.
Sorry, didn't mean to correct you, but music
well,
biz.
music talk.
Music talk. Yeah.
No.
So Quincy's going to direct the whole thing. He's directing all of the moving pieces with the musicians that are in the booth and the music that's already been recorded, the tracks and all that stuff with the engineers. And he's trying to he's basically herding cats.
Oh.
And he's also, not only is he herding cats, he is like, why do I hear myself?
There's an echo. Oh, got it.
Was that you?
It was Darren.
Okay. I'm like Dionne Warwick right now. I'm like, I hear myself. Get that lady out of my headphones. That actually happened
But it
in We
didn't
Are the
take
World.
7 times.
Yeah. But anyway, so he's like herding these cats and he's having to like talk them down out of their trees because they're all kind of nervous. Like you can tell that they're nervous.
Because they don't know what parts they're going to be playing.
They don't know what they're going to be doing and they're just kind of like, oh my God.
They don't know their lines. They don't know
Right.
like which little sections that have been
Right.
allocated.
sure, like allocated to each one.
Yeah.
And so like who are going to be the main stars, like doing the main bulk of
And
the
who are they gonna sing with?
who are
And
they going to
like,
sing with?
or is it gonna mesh?
Yeah, and so like Dionne Warwick is like, yeah, I was a little shocked that I got put next to sing
Willie
with
Nelson.
Willie Nelson because who would put us together? But then they were like, well, it's your range, your range is similar. And if you listen,
It's so
it
good.
actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it
Like they
does. It
actually did a
sure
really,
does.
really good job with this,
And they note and they realize it, like, everyone realizes these things, like, as it's happening
Yes.
because they have until 4 in the morning.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
But let's talk about some of the choices. There was one that we didn't mention that is part of this because it's a real confusion for me,
Okay. Yeah.
especially when they said, quote, "I really wanted Dan Aykroyd."
I did not understand that
Okay.
at all.
Dan Aykroyd
Dan Aykroyd.
was in the mix.
Okay.
What?
So
Hank
Frank actually looked this up later, and he said that like Dan Aykroyd was in town for something. He was like negotiating something for himself, and like somebody said, "Yeah, you should come down to this We Are the World thing." But that's not the way it was
No,
presented
someone
in the
said,
movie.
"I want Dan
They were
Aykroyd."
like, "I want Dan Aykroyd for this. Like,
What in
he
the
should be here."
hell are you talking
Why?
about?
That was so
And
weird.
even him in the documentary, he's like,
Well,
he doesn't know why he's there. He's like,
and yeah, because he was a
"I."
blues brother. Like they knew he could sort of
No,
sing.
they
I
showed
don't.
a picture of him from Ghostbusters
I
to
did
show
not.
reference. It
I did.
wasn't the Blues Brothers.
I guess it was just like to bring another celeb that was like
Bizarre. No,
hot
it's
in the
just
85 to the situation.
wildly bizarre.
So weird. So weird.
I could think of a lot of others.
Well, okay, so who else did you think that was odd that was there that you were like, why
Um,
are they there?
I didn't think anyone else was odd, but I was wondering if Hall& and Oates were also in a fight that night. Because,
Mhm.
I've seen Hall& and Oates like 3 times, and every
Yeah.
time I've seen them before, it's very clear that they're in a fight.
Right.
And, because they are wildly it's so tense,
Right.
and
Yeah.
they're just always, like, mad.
Yeah.
And let me just tell you something.
Yes.
Daryl Hall
Yeah.
can fucking sing.
Eh,
Let me tell you
Dude,
something. He
you're
crushes
not
it.
going to get an argument from
And
me on that.
John Oates, there's a clip of him, like, everyone's, like, singing, and then you look over at him, and he's, like his eyes are all weird, like, like,
Yeah.
mad that he's not a bigger part of it or something.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh god, look, they're in a fight again."
Well,
They started fighting from the jump. They
and
don't get along.
well, they don't get
Bye,
along.
John.
They don't get
Bye, John.
along. They don't get along.
Hey,
And
John, take a
yeah,
hike.
I know, but listen,
Leave it to the big people.
did you hear
Oh, I
him
didn't realize
interview
because he's so short. I didn't mean it like
Oh,
that.
Natalie?
I didn't mean it like that.
Jeez. Like Randy Newman over here, short people.
I genuinely just
God.
wanted to clarify that I meant, like,
So rude.
emotionally
Just because you are blessed with height.
blessed? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't you know what? That's
Well, you
neither
know
here nor
what?
there, or
You know what?
maybe you think that's what
Well,
that
you
is,
can
but that
just
you know what you can do with that.
All right.
Anywho.
So,
So, check your ego at the door.
okay. So anyway, so everybody they asked him like, you've just got to
Yeah, I
check
know,
your
I
ego at the
was
door. You've just
I
got
know.
to come in here and just be. There was a sign up there that said like, check your
Yeah,
ego at
no,
the
they
door.
wrote that, yeah.
Yeah, like y'all need to.
Check your
Yeah.
ego at the door.
And then at one point, like Bob Geldof came over and was like, look, the reason you're doing this is because you're going to be helping people. Like, so,
Right.
none of you are getting paid.
Oh, the real talk. I wrote this down. The real talk about what they were singing to get them in the mood. So he talks about all the starving children and families in Africa,
Yeah.
and all of the celebrities are like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
all their faces. That's when John Oates does this like weird eyeball thing where he's like, I'm on
Right.
comps.
Right.
But Paul Simon starts crying, and it's just like, oh my god, it
Dude.
killed me.
You start
Like,
to see the
oh
humanity of
my
these people. I mean, you
god.
really did
And then
see it.
Bette Midler in the same thing is looking around at everyone who's an asshole that's not being emotional. She's like, and who's being a dick
Right,
now?
right,
Like
right.
she's looking around
see,
like,
yeah,
are you not emotional? Do you suck? Like she's
Yeah.
kind of like a little shit stir,
yeah,
like quietly,
yes,
you know,
yes.
like
Oh,
in a
yeah,
funny way.
for
But
sure.
and then the guy tells them to suck along quietly or something. It was like
Suck
it
along?
said suck along quietly, which means like carry on.
Oh.
That's what you didn't write that down.
Well, anyway, so
An
some of
absolute
my
quote.
some
It's
of
an
my
absolute quote.
okay.
Nope.
I
Right. Go ahead.
So some of my favorite parts of this, I just wrote down some bullet points of some of my favorite parts of this because it's going to take too
So
long.
did I.
Huey Lewis being scared shitless to go after Michael Jackson to sing Prince's line because it's clear that Prince is not going to
Prince
show
is
up.
not showing up.
And so they ask Kenny Loggins, like, who should get the solo for this? And Kenny Loggins is like, dude, give it to Huey Lewis, which I thought was just the classiest.
That was classy. But you know what? He already had a part. And let me tell you something about I'm not Huey Lewis, love. Kenny Loggins. You know, he
Yeah.
came to Little Rock.
I know.
Right.
Oh,
You know,
jeez. There's going to be some shit talking about
well,
Kenny
I'm just
Loggins
saying
right
he
now.
was very rude to the audience because there wasn't enough people.
You
But you know
know.
who he wasn't rude to?
You.
Sally Sanderson.
Oh, yeah. I know.
He likey the Sally.
Right.
Because we went up
Well,
right up front.
yeah.
We were on stage several times. And then he was like staring at Sally the entire time. And she wasn't shimmying, I would say.
Mhm.
But she wasn't not noticing his death, like his like lust stares.
Right.
But yes, I think that he was very class act
To
within this
suggest
project.
Huey. Yes.
Yes.
And so, and then my other favorite, there were a lot of favorite things, but I loved when he and Cyndi Lauper and Kim Carnes. Now, let me ask you about Kim Carnes.
Who?
So
I was going to
she
ask.
was the
I
one
don't
who
remember.
did She Got Betty Davis.
Oh, right.
So let me ask you something. Can Kim Carnes, how does that woman still phonate? Like, how is she still, because the vocal cord damage that woman sings on, she's just like singing on like 2 inches of vocal damage. Like, it is just,
Did you say phonate?
Yeah. Like,
That
how could
singer
she
talk?
form? She wasn't in it for the long haul, right? Definitely not.
Do you know another song of hers?
I don't know.
Oh no.
I don't
Long
know.
haul? I'm saying
sure,
no.
I don't know. Anyway, so
But what a hit.
Her and Cyndi Lauper and Huey Lewis, finally, they make them do this whole thing. And let me tell you, Huey Lewis was nervous about doing his line after Michael, because Michael is like, I can't remember what the line is, but then Huey Lewis is like, if we just believe. And he's like, you could just see him putting his whole entire body into it.
It was out of his range.
So earnest. But he thought it was out of his range, but it wasn't. Like,
I know it
you have to
wasn't.
remember, like, all these people are like 35.
Yeah.
They're all like in their 30s and like early 40s, and like maybe even some of them are in their 20s. So they think that they're afraid. They have these, they are nervous.
The pressure in the situation.
I work with singers all the time who are like, I can't sing that that high. I'm like, you're just freaking yourself out.
Well, I just tell you that because I don't think I can.
But they say this on this thing, and I'm like, you guys are like stars. You guys all have
Cyndi Lauper knocked me off my ass. I had no idea she could sing like that.
Right?
It
I know.
knocked me off I was like, what?
I know. And it's insane.
I just don't feel. Are there songs that I've not heard that she does that?
She does that in all of her songs.
Oh, well.
She does that in everything.
She doesn't do it in Girls Just Wanna Have Fun.
She doesn't, because that's like her mellow hit. But like, if you listen to like,
Deep Cuts. I haven't gone to the Deep Cuts.
Well, True Colors, but like there's that one, like.
She doesn't do the, I mean, that was like Christina Aguilera.
There are some that she does. But I think that's the other thing, is that back in 1985, these stars were stars because they were all really good singers. I mean, yes, they were all working with a lot of like vocal problems because they all sang like shit, but like technically, but that was part of their shtick. It was part of their sound. Right. But then you got like the smooth, beautiful vocal cords of Steve Perry, who I'm like,
I love.
Whoa.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, he comes in. And so then he comes in, and then right after him is Daryl Hall. And you're just like, hello, blue-eyed soul. Like, what the holy cow. Yeah. They both just knock that shit out of the park. Right. And like Diana Ross singing was unbelievable. And she has this sweetness in her sound and her hair and just this whole thing. And it's just like all of the, I mean, I love them all. I love them all.
I love in this, like this isn't a part, like one of the things I took away from this.
Yeah.
One of the awkward moments. There were lots
of awkward moments.
When Stevie Wonder wanted everyone to learn Swahili.
Right.
And Waylon Jennings leaves.
I know. And Waylon Jennings is like,
he gets up and leaves.
Out.
He's like, true to form, he's out. He tried. And he didn't have it in him. He just can't be that.
Can't be that guy.
He just can't be the
can't
regular guy.
You just can't just do it. And I'm like, you know what? Then get out.
Wow.
Like,
then get the fuck out. You don't need to be part of this You're singing for anyway.
Yeah,
Remember what
100%.
you're doing.
Yeah, thank you. And the fact that
Garbage
you were
person.
even
Obviously, you're just like here for the anyway.
Yeah,
And they're not getting paid.
right, they're not getting paid.
And think about like Bruce Springsteen. He flew in
I know,
from Buffalo after his like last tour, and he was such a good sport. He was so like helpful. And Stevie Wonder, who was like considered a troublemaker, but like they like the way Stevie Wonder was with Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan is kind of like in a phase where he's not very as relevant as he was
we got
in the
wait a minute.
70s and the 60s.
We got we
but
got to
him
back her
singing
up.
as
Okay.
Bob Dylan.
Yeah. Okay. First of all,
And then him and Ray Charles making jokes together, blind jokes together, and then leading each other to the bathroom.
I know.
Everyone was like, "Oh my
and
god!"
he's like,
we gotta go to the bathroom, and the both of them were leading each other. It was so sweet.
but I loved all of it. It was all cutting back to Lionel
I
Richie
know.
talking about like the
He's
blind
the
leading the
best.
blind, and just
I
like all the
know.
talking heads on this were so great.
I know.
So great.
I loved it.
The extensive interviews I loved.
I did too. And everyone getting their each other's autographs, it like really
I
broke up the tension, and it
know.
made everybody humans, and they were all like fans of each other, and they
I
were
know.
sweet to each other, and that really helped because this is a very tense, long evening, and everyone's got their egos and people, and then there's the drunk guy.
Al Jarreau.
Al Jarreau was
So-
so hammered.
So good old Al Jarreau is like wants to celebrate like before the whole thing starts, and so he starts like pulling out the bottles of wine and like having people bring him wine. So by the time they get to Al Jarreau's part, where he's with standing there with Dionne Warwick and Willie Nelson, and it's Al Jarreau in the middle.
Kenny Rogers.
No, it was Willie Nelson.
Oh, it was.
Yes, and they're standing there, wasn't it? I'm pretty sure it was Willie. Yeah, Dionne
Kenny.
and Willie. No, Kenny
Yes,
was the beginning.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
So they're standing there and they're trying to get Al to sing his part. And Dionne is so classy because she's like, no, baby, that's not it. She's like, no, not that. That's not it. That's not it. And then finally they get him to do it. But see, again, they had to go over to him and they had to be like, listen, here's how you sing this. This is your part. Sing it just like this.
He was a bit belligerent.
He was belligerent and he was wasted.
Yeah.
And somebody said,
he was Hammertown.
What the guy who was like one of the camera operators was like, he was a little over the top in the alcohol department.
Yes.
That's what
yes.
I was
You're like, I mean, I can't believe they weren't all.
I know, same. And, I guess the other thing too is like I was thinking about, why? Oh, I was going to say, when you were talking about Bruce Springsteen, he was not just coming off of his last tour. He was coming off Born in the USA.
Born in the USA tour.
Which is a huge, huge part of his career.
I know.
And his voice was thrashed.
I know.
And he had two parts where he was going to sing one of the main lines and then sing some of the little backups on the "We Are the World."
I mean,
and he's just like,
so
oh my God.
Yeah.
He pulled it out.
What a trooper. He was so nice.
So sweet about it.
He's also really great in the documentary. Like,
Yes.
he's such a nice guy.
I know. It was so good. So, yeah, each and every one of them are completely unique. And I was thinking to myself, like, what would we have today? Like, everybody would sound like Amy Winehouse, Beyonce, or Adele. Sorry.
But I love all three.
And then, like, all the men would... I know, but everybody sounds the same.
Okay. I think you should take Amy Winehouse out.
Well, I think you don't have an Adele if you don't have an Amy Winehouse.
But I don't think Adele's more Celine Dion to me. It's not she doesn't have the grit as Amy Winehouse had grit.
That's true. But
she's like a Louis Armstrong like that weird, meets Frank Sinatra.
Yeah, but you know that weird pronunciation of vowels thing that all the singers do now? That's an Amy Winehouse thing. That started with Amy.
Example?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot.
Try to sing it back to re-hi-ob. Like, what's the vowel?
It's like instead of singing an A, it's like an A.
That's Christina Aguilera.
I know, but that's also like if you don't have Amy Winehouse, you don't really have Christina Aguilera. Like they all kind of started doing that shit.
Okay, but I think Amy Winehouse is not Adele. Okay. Adele
I'm
is
just
more
saying there's
like Celine Dion.
Well, what I'm saying is what I'm saying is
the Gaga.
Wow, we are having an argument about this.
Well, as producer, I would like to jump in.
It doesn't.
Darren is going to jump in and solve this
because no, there's nothing to solve. And I'm really inserting myself in this conversation. But I want y'all to talk about what it took to get all of these people in one place at one time.
I know.
Just for a minute, and then we can go to the top.
What it took was all of their agents all converging and saying
no text, no
email. It was letters. It was letters and phone calls.
No handlers. They had to go.
They couldn't have any handlers.
They went straight to the musician.
Yep. And they were like, we're going to do this thing. And then it was like, they are going
It
to
was Michael Jackson and Lionel Richie and
Lionel.
Lionel and
Yeah.
Quincy
Yeah.
reaching out to the artists specifically,
Yes.
not the agents. It was really just to them.
And saying like,
here's what this is.
This is what this is. And they were like, and it has to be secret because if there's a big, gigantic line of stars showing up at this studio, Bob Dylan is not walking through that door. Michael Jackson's not walking through that door. None of them are going to do this. So you got to keep this completely chill. Yeah. It's pretty amazing, Darren. You're right.
It was amazing. I do want to mention, though, that the diss of Prince's
Sheila
E., who had no idea that she was this badass drummer.
Oh, she's badass.
Stunning. Her fashion, like, first of all, I wanted all of their clothes. Everybody's clothes in this.
Oh my gosh.
But her clothes, her sunglasses with the sweatband and I mean, that woman.
She was the shit, dude.
She's the shit.
Yeah.
I mean, what?
Yeah. Did you not listen to her?
And they screwed her over. Like, she's like, they just wanted, they used her to lure Prince in because he was like, nah. He's like, no. But they still thought he would show up.
I know.
And, I just feel bad for her, but she was such a bigger person to be in this documentary and still talk about what a wonderful experience that she had.
I agree. Well, she's class. She's a class act. She is pure class. Like go look her up now. She still has an amazing career. She's gorgeous. She's gorgeous. She
seems happy. And she's one of those 80 stars that you can see now. And you're like, okay, wow.
Legs. She had legs.
Legs for days. That did you right.
Yeah. Yeah. But she's from the Bay Area.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. So, anywho, so I don't want to argue with you anymore about singers.
Okay, here's my thing. I was not arguing. I was asking questions.
It's fine. But I do want to ask you. I just want to ask you. I believe you.
But I genuinely was.
I know.
I was trying to learn from you. Well, I would hope you would still love me because I want to learn from you.
Yeah.
But what's not to love?
Okay. Let me ask you about Bob Dylan. Because this scene about Bob Dylan, to me, was the most cringe of this entire documentary.
Hand over one
down,
eye. It's like watching The Office.
I could not even handle it. So let me just talk to you. Okay. So you know that Joni Mitchell was not at this thing, but Joni in the 80s was not really hitting hard at this point.
Neither was Bob Dylan.
No. And so Joni Mitchell had this like feud going on with Bob Dylan. And she always, she talked some shit about him, like in the early 80s or like late 70s, where she said like, Bob is a total fraud. He like plagiarizes poetry. Like he's not a good musician. Like she said some shit about him. So then you see him. So of course, I love Joni. So of course I'm always going to take Joni's side, right? I think she's
I will too.
I think she and Bob have like done shows together, like they were in the Last Waltz together and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, so they worked it out.
So they've worked together and whatever. And I think it's fine, but maybe they both just talk shit about each other. I don't know. Nonetheless, then I see Bob in this thing and I'm like, what is wrong with this guy? He's like a deer in headlights. I'm like, Bob, all you have to do is go, there's a choice we're making. We're saving our own lives. It's true. We make a better day. Just you and me. That's all you got to sing. Mm-hmm. And you're Bob freaking Dylan. So what is the problem? Like, am I getting too mad?
I feel like
I'm getting a little mad.
I think you might be projecting a little as sometimes they're just questions or questions. And I'm not disagreeing with you because you are the singer.
Right.
But I was just trying to learn about that.
No.
Go on.
We're back to Bob. Then it takes Stevie Wonder to take him under his wing and sing to Bob Dylan as Bob Dylan.
Amazing.
Which
it's amazing.
Like, here's
and he starts laughing. And he laughs. It's like he just needed to lighten up. Like he just like he got over himself and he lightened up. And then he's like, like he did it.
Yeah.
Like he could do it.
And now it's like
you just had to like snap out of it.
And now whenever I hear "We Are the World," I'm like,
I'm about to rewatch that music video.
That's the part
right now.
I always sing. I'm like, it's true. We make a better day, just you and me. Like, everybody knows that part.
It's not hard being you, man. Like,
man.
It's like singing like you as it's you, man.
Right. Just do your thing. And that's what I loved about this. All of them are just doing their thing. Like,
but I think it's like a lot of these musicians are introverts. Like, look at Paul Simon.
For sure.
And Bob Dylan. I think these are like they're not natural extroverts.
No.
And or like these are singer-songwriters, not just like Daryl Hall and
Right.
Bruce Springsteen. And,
Right.
you know, I think even Paul Simon was like,
Yeah.
I mean, and he's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's
It's
beautiful.
gorgeous. Yeah.
But they're not all like, you know, Lionel or
Yeah. They're not
Michael
all Cyndi
Jackson.
Lauper.
Right.
Cindy
But even she
obviously.
was just like, come on. I
Yeah.
mean, like, she was
And
even
then
exhausted. But
she almost messed it up because her
even
jewelry
Tina
was
was
so
like,
loud.
oh, I know. Her earrings were click clacking on those headphones. But even Tina Turner was like, I mean, she was like, And I felt like she tamed herself. I was like, we
She
didn't get a lot of
did.
Tina.
We did not get a lot
Tina
of
went
Tina.
calm Tina.
She was super
Never
calm.
heard of. I do not. Her outfit would wear
On
it
point.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Kill for it. But
Yeah.
she was so tame. I was like, is
I know.
Tina being stifled again
I know.
because of this group?
Maybe.
I think she's not a natural extrovert. I think these are introverted people
Yeah.
in this crowd.
I think you're
It's
absolutely
such a
right.
combination of these personalities.
Yes.
And what a ginormous feat that Quincy Jones,
I know.
Lionel, and Michael Jackson and sort of Stevie Wonder did I mean, the fact that this was accomplished
I know.
and was successful
Yeah.
blows my mind.
Unbelievable. And
That
it
they
raised
made
a
it work.
ton of money. Yeah, I know.
Bless Huey Lewis. Bless his sweet, sweet, still handsome soul.
Girlfriend, we have to take a little pit stop
Let's take
now.
a pit stop.
Okay.
Before we start,
Yes.
I want us to clear the air,
Oh yeah, clearly.
as
Yeah,
we
got
say.
a little weird there.
Well, I just want to make sure you understand that I don't think I was right. I was genuinely
Mhm.
asking because you're the musician, and I was wondering the connection between, and I do see the connection with Amy Winehouse and Adele and who's the other one? Lady Gaga?
No,
But I didn't know which one.
I was saying they would all sound like one
Right.
of those three singers.
Right. And you
I was
have
saying-
to have and then if you have to have Christina Aguilera, I mean, they all mirror, right. But
But kind of this evolution of singers
So
that all kind of
before
sound the
we
same
do-
to me. Yeah.
before we do a pit stop, can
Yeah.
you tell me 3 female singers that you would have chosen to be in the We Are the World?
Oh,
That
that weren't there?
Yeah, well, that now, current.
Oh,
They
currently?
did it again.
That have their own unique sound.
Yes.
Yeah, that have their own unique sound. Like,
Yes.
well, I think if Amy Winehouse would have
Okay.
should have been there, would have
Okay.
been an amazing person to
Mhm.
have. I do think somebody like,
Britney Spears.
yeah, Britney. Yeah,
Okay.
Britney. Yeah, Britney.
mean-
I don't know. I can't think of 3, but I definitely can think of. I think Amy Winehouse would have been perfect. Like if a
But
modern.
I think that you're right in that it would obviously be given to these people like Adele and
Yes.
Lady Gaga, and
And
like
then they would
having them in the same room is just ridiculous.
And then would you be able
what's
to
the
tell
point?
them apart?
Mm.
I don't know if you'd be able to tell them apart.
Mm-mm.
That's what I'm
No,
saying.
you're right.
I don't know.
You're right.
They all kind of
No, I
sound
think
like
you're
that
right.
same
You're
thing.
absolutely right. They're all
So I don't
going for that Celine Dion.
And then also, like, what about the men? Like, do they all sound sort of like maybe Justin Timberlake or like who do they all sing like now? Do they all sing like Usher? Is it like it's like the
I would
prototypes to be like
choose-
John Legend, Usher, and
No,
like
I would choose Frank Ocean, and I would choose
well,
like
Frank Ocean is unique.
yes, that's
Yeah,
why I
yeah.
would say him. And then, but you have to have like a standard, like I mean, I guess like Justin Timberlake would be, or like Harry Styles. Like you'd have to have.
But wouldn't it be
like,
that little redheaded boy too that doesn't use a band?
Ed Sheeran?
Yeah, wouldn't he be? He'd be on this. They'd ask him. You know, they'd ask him.
You know, they'd ask him. I would be like Eminem.
Oh my god. Snoop? Where's Snoop
I
in all
would have
this?
Snoop.
Get Snoop out of here. Get Snoop out of here. Snoop.
Snoop-a-loop.
Yeah, for
Get
sure.
him in there.
Yeah, get Snoop over here.
Snoop in there. Okay.
All right.
No,
Anyway,
we're on the same page. I just wanted to make sure you knew
Thank
that we
you.
were on the same page.
I thank you.
Because I love
Thank
you. And
I
we're on the
love
same
you
page.
too. So, people are going to argue. It's okay. Okay, so we're going to do a little pit stop. We're going to talk
Yeah.
about our friend Huey Lewis for a second.
Yes.
We loved Huey Lewis. Now, when I was a child, Natalie, so this came out when I was 12.
Mhm.
And that was, I mean, we're talking
Did your head
primo
explode?
Huey Lewis times. Okay.
Did your head
This was
explode with all these people in one room together?
That's the power of love.
Ugh.
This is Back to the Future. This is, they say
Yeah.
the heart of rock and roll is still beating. And from what I've seen, I believe them. Right? I mean, I was obsessed with Huey Lewis. I was also obsessed with Michael Jackson. I was obsessed. I had pictures of Michael Jackson all over my bedroom.
Oh.
Obsessed.
Hmm.
I loved him
Hmm.
in
No
that
doubt.
white
Good
suit
show.
with the pink
Good
shirt
show.
and the yellow background. Anyway.
I like the one with the lion or the little tiger.
Well, you would. Sure, that's kind of how you do. Wow.
I'm crazy.
So, so
Okay, so
anyway, Huey Lewis is
yes.
awesome, and that's all I wanted to say.
And so who would you have chosen in that time to be in that room that wasn't there?
Oh, did we not talk about this already?
No.
Oh, in that time that wasn't there. Yes.
Remember?
Paul McCartney, perhaps?
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Maybe should have been there.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a woman, though, you had mentioned that you'd want to be in there.
You know who? It was glaringly obvious that she wasn't there. Barbara. Where was Barbara Streisand? She could have
must
been
have been
like,
filming.
She could have been like, there's a choice we're making. You know, she could have done her thing. Speaking of Barbara, I just remembered something, Natalie.
What?
Doesn't Scott have a cousin named Rhonda?
Rhonda,
yes. Right? Rhonda.
Yes, and she loves our show.
Yeah, Rhonda loves our show.
Yeah.
We're going to do a shout out to Rhonda right now. Should we do a shout out to her?
Yeah, I think. But I think you should do a Barbara song since you're on the Barbara.
Rhonda, I think, loves Barbara too. Do you know what Rhonda's like favorite Barbara song is?
I think it might be Memories.
Like the corner of my mind. I have to figure out my key. I think it's memories like the corners of my mind. Is that it?
Beautiful.
Misty watercolor memories of the way we were. Oh, it's so good.
Help me, Rhonda. Help me, Rhonda.
That's for you, Rhonda.
That's for you, Rhonda.
That was all for you, Rhonda.
We love you, Rhonda.
We love you. All right, that was all. Yeah.
The person I think that wasn't there was Prince.
Well,
I wish he'd shown up and we could have seen him like in the corner being
Can
like,
you even imagine?
Just so uncomfortable.
So uncomfortable.
I think he would have added more vests and more, bunless pants.
He would have had his hair like, so far over his eye. He would have been
like,
I know.
Dearly beloved.
I know. I think though.
I'm ready to go.
But you know what I think? What is my part?
I'm out of here. I can't do this. Goodbye.
Exactly.
Right?
100%.
Right.
100%. That was a really good Prince impersonation. I can't wait to share that one on the socials. Anyway, everybody, you got to watch this thing.
Oh, go watch it. And Huey Lewis is so cute still. Lionel Richie is absolutely the MC of the world.
He is fantastic.
He is the host with the most.
So good.
Okay?
So
he
good.
Is so good.
So good.
And I didn't realize how charming he was. I just never.
I know.
My goodness.
Super charming. Super charming. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Greatest talking head. And Huey Lewis is also a talking head on this, and he's adorbs.
And I have eyebrow envy. Adorbs.
His like 5 o'clock shadow and
he looks so good.
His
Bruce
voice.
Springsteen, don't quit. I mean, like, hi.
I know. They're all.
These are these like older hunks.
You know who I wonder who maybe should have been there is like maybe why was Madonna not there?
Scott said the same thing last night.
Yeah.
Like what was her problem?
Well, yeah.
She was at the American Music Awards.
Oh, did you know that Eddie Murphy was actually asked to do it and he was like, I'm not going to do that. And then.
So they're like, we'll take Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah.
Who's another obscure, not obscure, but like Dan Aykroyd. Let's just get an obscure musical person. I mean, you know that Eddie Murphy had a music career.
I know. My girl wants to party all the time.
He and Michael Jackson had a duet that was like, what's up with you?
Yeah.
What's up with you? They have a song called What's Up With You?
I know.
Eddie Murphy and Michael Jackson, and Michael Jackson still couldn't get Eddie Murphy to do it.
I know.
So he's like, you know who's the next best? Dan Aykroyd.
I know. It was just like, it's
bizarre.
It's bizarre.
I don't know.
There were a lot of people in this thing.
He didn't even know. You saw his face in the second movie. He's like, what the fuck am I doing here?
I know. It's real. Darren. Sorry, Darren.
Sorry.
So, gosh, I just
That's
feel
neither
like
here nor there.
it's neither here nor there, but I just want to say thanks 1985 for keeping it real, because
Thank you.
I just have to say, like, that was recorded to tape. There was no autocorrect. That shit, what you heard of them going into the mic was what came out of the mix. Like, that is what it was.
Live recording.
It was live.
It made a bajillion dollars for Africa.
Yes. And like, I'm just saying, like, when I watch these kinds of documentaries, I get really nostalgic because I'm like, the recording process is so beautiful and it's so tense and so tedious. And then put like 45 ego stars on top of that.
Top 100 top Billboard stars in one room.
It's crazy. And then like and they did it all in like one night. And it was like they started at 10 o'clock and they were done by like 6 in the morning.
And the whole purpose was to be helpful, and they didn't get paid. And it's amazing.
Yeah, it's good.
Amazing.
It's a really feel-good documentary, everybody, especially if you're a Gen Xer like me. You're an honorary. You're pretty much. You are. Well, you are because you.
God just goes, you're so millennial.
Oh, no.
I'm not.
You are and you aren't. You are and you aren't. You're like a late millennial. You're an early millennial. You're an early
soul.
You're an old millennial.
Fine.
Yeah, but you definitely have Gen X tendencies. Big time.
Yes.
Big time.
Big ones.
Yeah. So well, on that note, my fine, fair friend.
My beautiful lady,
milady. What do you have to say to me?
I have
anything?
No words, but namaste, template of mumbles. Namaste.
Pretty good. We are the world. Namaste, Lionel. Lionel?
Lionel.
Lionel.
All right. You can't do anything right. I love you.
Love you. Bye.
I love you. Bye.
Now, isn't that better? Thanks for listening. Feel free to leave us a review and be sure to subscribe wherever you get your shows. Put Your Books Down is produced by ClantonCreative.com.